mes amis. I'm Dominique Duvernay. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about something quite controversial, and that is Creole. What even is Creole? Who's Creole? Why is there always a heated debate every time someone says they're Creole? Let's talk about it. So, before we can even try to understand the controversy behind the word Creole, let me give you a quick explanation into what Creole even is. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as I can because it's a very complex thing, but let's go. And first of all, I am talking about Louisiana Creole. I realize and recognize that there are Creoles all over the world. There's Cape Verdean Creoles. There's different Creole communities. I'm talking about the Louisiana Creoles. Moving along. Creole is a word that originally meant people of European descent born in the Americas, meaning Spanish colonies, French colonies. So Louisiana was of course a French colony. It was also a Spanish colony at one point. So over time that definition changed and it came to mean anyone born in the Louisiana colony, I'm gonna say. I'm not sure if this part applies to the rest of Latin America, but I know in Louisiana for sure, it meant anyone born in Louisiana. Could have been African, white, mixed race, just anyone born in Louisiana. And especially when America purchased Louisiana and you started having all these Americans coming in, Creole was a term to divide native Louisianians, French-speaking, Catholic, Louisiana French culture practicing people from Anglo-Americans, English-speaking Protestant people. It was a way to separate. You had the Anglos, the Americans, and you had the Creoles, the Louisianians. So over time, it further evolved, and I'm not really sure how, but it came to mean like the modern definition that a lot of people associate the word Creole with is mixed race people. It's people who are descendants of those French and African original peoples in Louisiana. So it's mixed race people of colonial French and African descent, often Spanish as well, often Native American as well, and other things, but the main two that you usually see, French and African. So all in all, the basis of Creole, it is cultural. It is a culture, it is an ethnicity. If you can comprehend what Latino is, you can comprehend what Creole is. And that's what kind of gets me sometimes. People comprehend one, but they just can't seem to comprehend the other. They are literally the same thing. One is just French-based, Creole is French-based, Latino is Spanish-based. But they are both the same. They are both ethnicities, cultures stemming from Latin America. I'm including Louisiana when I say Latin America in that sense because it was a French and Spanish colony back in the day. So just like you can have Latinos who are fully black or fully white, same thing with Creole. It's just that a lot, probably the majority of Latinos are mixed. And so that's when you think of Latino, I'm sure the first thing that comes to your mind, Mexico, Central America, you have a mestizo, Spanish, native mixture person in mind. You think of Caribbean, you probably imagine that same thing, but with curly hair, with some African mixed in it. That's just what comes to mind. Same with Creole. So Creole is an ethnic group. It's a cultural group. You do not have to be mixed. It's just that a lot of the people who identified with being Creole were of mixed race, and a lot of mixing happened back in the day as well. So that probably has something to do with it. Like France mixed way more freely than the British. So there were a lot more mixed race people. So a lot of the people who were saying they were Creole, I think probably just happened to be mixed race. The Spanish and Latin America mixed very heavily. So the grand majority of people in Latin America that claim Latino origin tend to be mixed. That's just that, but you don't have to be mixed. You don't in either scenario. So they're the exact same thing. So now for the controversial part, I myself have experienced it. A lot of people that I know have. For some reason, when a person refers to themselves as Creole, people tend to get upset.
What did you say, nigga?
And they take it to mean that the person doesn't want to say they're black.
I'm white. White. White!
No Creole that I know right now in modern day real life is ashamed of being black. We all embrace it. We're all perfectly fine with it. But you have to realize that this is some people's culture. Some people still speak Creole. They have whole families where they speak Creole, they speak French, they speak these languages. They're Catholic, they cook these foods. They still highly participate in Creole culture. This is a real life ethnicity. This is not some little club we made up. This is a real thing. And then you have the people who are mixed race like myself. It is a way of explaining my background, which I'm questioned about all the time. It is a way of explaining that background without having to go in depth. Well, my family is of colonial Louisiana, French and African ancestry. And back in those days, who wants to get into that? It's a way of explaining my racial origins, even though Creole is not a race. I'm not saying it's a race. We know it's not a race, but we know that it is linked to a particular racial mixture of colonial Louisiana ancestry, as I said earlier. So for me, saying I'm Creole is a way of quickly, with one word, explaining my racial and ethnic origins. The exact same way someone who's Latino will say, I'm Latino, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Cuban, I'm whatever the case. Yes, Puerto Rican is a nationality. People like to say, well, that doesn't explain anything, that's just a nationality. We understand that. But when a person says I'm Puerto Rican, you put two and two together. You can kind of understand what their mixture probably is, what their background probably is, what their culture probably is. So these are ways of just explaining our whole identity in one word. And I'm just not so sure what the problem is with that. And people also like to say, oh, well, Creole, y'all just mix down the line like any other African American. So are Latinos. They're mixed down the line. And I do recognize that back in the day, people who identified as Creole, they did brown paper bag tests. And they were colorist, racist, whatever you want to call it, but not all of them. Just like you have Latinos who are. Like, that's just, there's bad apples in every group. White people, are you going to start telling white people don't call yourself white because your people enslaved my people? So when you say the term European or Caucasian or white, it brings up hurt. It makes me remember slavery. You can't do that. You can't take away people's entire identities because some people in the past might have hurt some other people in the past. So I think that has a lot to do with Creole. And it's crazy, lots of us won't say that we are because we want to avoid making people mad. And that ends with me. I can be Creole and not be ashamed of my African heritage. I can be Creole and claim being mixed and still love being black. All of that can go together. Just like biracial people, they can be biracial and say they're biracial and still be proud of their African heritage. I am what I am. People are what they are. So this whole weird air around the word Creole, it needs to stop. Everything in America is literally black and white. It's so black and white. Finding your place. Are you black or are you white? Do I fit in with blacks or do I fit in with whites? Am I black enough? Am I white enough? I don't subscribe to that. The word Creole sums up my pride for everything. Being from Louisiana, from New Orleans in particular, my mixture, our culture that we had, like it sums up everything that I am. Just like for Latinos, that sums up everything. And I'm also partially Hispanic, and I embrace that too. I embrace that to the brink. The reason I say Creole usually over Latina is because both my parents are Creole. My mom just also has, her grandfather is from Latin America. So I have a sprinkle of the Latina blood there. So I consider myself Creole, but a Creole of, you know, Hispanic ancestry. So I have a pride in both of those. And I'm going to the tilt with that because I feel like you can have a pride in those cultures and still have a pride in your blackness. So again, I just want to further reiterate that claiming Creole heritage is not to say that we are disowning black heritage. Because as I said earlier, Creole is an ethnic group. There are people who are fully black that identify as Creole. Most people who identify as Creole are either of mixed heritage and of African ancestry, or they are just fully black. Because white people, they typically are Cajun, or, you know, they don't typically identify as Creole. They can if they want. But on average, I'm just saying, the whole point is me saying I'm Creole is not gonna create a picture that I'm not black or associated with blackness in some way. I am of mixed ancestry. The reason I claim Creole is for the cultural aspect, of course, but also for the racial definition, just to be able to easily, with one word, explain what my mixture is. But that mixture includes black. So either way you look at the term, if you look at it as a racial mixture thing, it still includes black. Creole, the racial definition of the being multiracial, it includes blackness. So I can't run away from blackness with a term that includes blackness. And if we're looking at it as an ethnic term, then race isn't a factor because it's an ethnic term. So I can't run away from my racial blackness by using an ethnic term, because an ethnic term can include any race. So in conclusion, I am very proud of who I am, all that I am. Very proud of having black ancestry on both sides of my family. I would never not be proud of that. But I can also be proud of being Creole. I can also refer to myself as Creole, and that should not take away from my blackness. Thanks so much for watching. Put your comments down below. Tell me what you think Creole is. What are some good and bad parts? Do you think Creole people should be able to identify as Creole, or should we just throw the whole thing away and just stick with African American? Just let me know your thoughts on any of this, in the Louisiana culture in general, mixed. Tell me your thoughts on mixed culture. I'm going to be posting more content like this, more stuff about Creole, Louisiana, mixedness in general, Latino, the Louisiana and Caribbean connection, all of this. It excites me so much when we posting about language stuff, Spanish, French, all that. All this is like really a passion for me, and I love sharing it with you guys. And please stick with me and keep watching. Go watch my other little videos that I have up. And so yeah, thank you so much. Bye.